Museums have always been a passion of mine, and one great museum has just started. Its first ever event is a commemoration of the Easter Rising, and it takes place in the old Ambassador Cinema, which dates back itself to 1764 or thereabouts, when it was the Rotunda. The building itself, that whole area, is part of the 1916 story. But what they have done is to make an extraordinary exhibition. And I went down there, not sure really of what I was going to see, not sure of what I was going to meet, but I went. And herein lies the story of my visit to Eastern Rebellion 1916 at the Ambassador's Cinema on O'Connell Street.
So we're going to have a look at some of our artifacts, and we're going to have a look at some of the art that we've done as well. Now, the first kind of storyboard that you see here, this is from Arthur Moorhead, and he's done the Lauren Hazrigi, the Book of the Rising. These are the vellums that are in the National Museum of Ireland. Not always on display. He would have been funded for a period of time. He was supposed to record. This one, particular one here, is Easter 1916. And again, he's gone back into the mythological past of Ireland. And this particular vellum, he would have brought to Tara and started it on the Leah Fall, do a rubbing on the vellum, and then bring it forward. And you can see Dublin there is spewing fire out onto the line of the British Empire. That's the GPO. Just as the volunteers went into it, just completed a huge refurbishment 3 months before the Rising. Connolly reckoned they wouldn't bomb it. It's wrong. Here you have Kathleen Clark here, who lost her husband and her brother to the Fire and Scots, and we have a set of her medals that we'll show you later on. Very recognisable Elizabeth O'Farrell, who brought the surrender note to General Lowe. Constance Markovich, and then this here, George, this is the young girl that we're focusing on, Molly O'Reilly. You like this here, George, well, this is very educational. This is done by the artist Brian Mulvaney. Everybody in the Rising, all major figures on the British side and on the Irish side are done in this. It took me 2.5 years to complete, charcoal on paper. This is 46 feet, I think, the length. So we'll walk down here, bring you through the sets, and we walk around. We'll point out some of the figures here as well. If you see the detail here, this is Sean McDermott, suffered from polio, crippled on the left side, walked with a stick. All those details are there. There's Thomas Clark there, holding the Mauser that we have upstairs. There's Patrick Pearce, Willie Pearce, Joseph Plunkett. Again, when Joseph Plunkett went into the GPO, dressed very well. Some people dressed like a dandy, some scarf, feather in his hat, and everything else, carried a sword. All done there. There's Emmett Cant, there's Winifred Carney, Constance Markovich, the O'Reilly, Ned Daly, O'Hanlon. So they're all here, and here you go. Here's Michael Collins. Young looking Michael Collins. De Valera is there. The building is here. There's the Rotunda, there's the Parnell Monument. And the Capuchin fathers are also featured here, because we'll show you something when we go through the set. So over here we're going to show you, you'll find this very interesting, George. Look, this is underneath the Ambassador. Look, stand here and look into the mirror. Look. These are the tunnels that were used by Michael Collins and the squad. They operated out of Vaughan's Hotel, the headquarters of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, during the War of Independence. The squad operated out of 46 in Parnell Square too. But if you look at the intelligence reports, no activity going in and out. No activity going in and out of Vaughan's G-men sitting there all the time, because they entered on the far side opposite Tom Clark's shop. They dropped down in, remember, 1764 here, building with arched cellars like the whole of Rutland Square. Volunteers had tunneled through those cellars that became redundant so that you can move underground here all the time. So I've been down there, some of it's been backfilled. I've been talking to people who went down there. I have gone under O'Connell Street, and you see where the cellars get the big bank vault doors to stop you going any further.
Kilmainham jail we're in now. cells right and left. Here the men stood waiting execution out there in the yard, hearing the volleys as their friends and colleagues were shot dead. Can you just imagine it? Can you imagine how they felt? Can you imagine the extraordinary courage? Now it's happened elsewhere, you can rest assured, before and after 1916. This is us. This is what we are. This is what made us. This is what that general election that we've all voted in. That's how it all came. And then this, you know, it's not about the guns and the bullets. It's about the extraordinary courage, the belief in democracy, the sense that 100 years ago they could talk about the equality of men and women, even though no equality for women existed. Nevertheless, they understood in the Ireland that they wanted. They wanted an Ireland where men and women were equal. We still haven't achieved it, but we're getting there. By God, am I excited, uplifted. Everything, every emotion of joy, of pleasure, of excitement, of pride, all those things come together in this extraordinary exhibition.
Okay, George, I'm going to show you.
I've always felt, you know, that the British do history very well. They also protect their buildings very well. So when you go to a place like Bath and you see those great buildings from the Regency period and the Roman baths, even further back, you always think, you know, the British do it, why can't we? And we ruin so much of our history. And suddenly, this extraordinary exhibition, and anybody watching or listening to me cannot but not fail. You've got until October to do it. You've got to come here. Because this gives you the real sense. This is living history. This isn't like something that I got it from, like from a book or a movie or something. This is real. When you walk down the reconstruction of Kilmainham with the cells, and you stand in the cell that Pierce was in, for instance, I don't know. I just think there isn't a person on the planet couldn't be moved. You couldn't imagine a man sitting there knowing he's going to die. And then, you know, as Bartle Darcy, who's the curator here, told me, they're standing in line in the row of where the cells are, waiting for execution. And one guy goes out to hear the volley, so no, he's dead. Now it's your turn. I mean, I just don't know how they did it. The bravery of these men was just extraordinary. And I think we've lost it. And this is why this is so good and why I'm so excited about it. We've actually got something here that people really, I think, of any age, you know, can get to. And there's Collins's car down there. And, you know, the sense of what the GPO must have been like when they came through the front door. And they also, you got to remember then, what this has done, and I'm so thrilled about it, is the role of women. Because for 100 years, women's role in this revolution has been airbrushed out of history. And here they are in all their glory. Like, we thought there was only one woman involved in this, Countess Margaret. Suddenly Molly O'Reilly appears, you know, and her story afterwards in the War of Independence on a hunger strike for 16 days for what she believed in. I mean, these women were unbelievable. And suddenly now we know what they contributed for us. I think it's just great. I just am so delighted to be in just a small way part of it. I'm just thrilled. And imagine that it's taken me all this time. I have to go almost to my dotage. I almost have to come here using my bus pass as an old age pensioner. And that's the first time I get the real story. That's the first time. And I love history. I've loved history since that first day in Presentation College, Cork, when a fellow called McCarthy taught me history. I've loved it. This is living history. You've got to come here. You will have missed something if you don't come here.